From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. Malacañang said it is open to offering a monetary reward for information leading to the arrest of former Ako Bicol party list Representative Zaldico. In a press briefing, Presidential Communications Office PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the administration has not yet discussed a plan to offer a bounty as authorities continue efforts to verify his reported presence in Portugal. Castro, however, acknowledged that the proposal to offer a cash reward for cost capture is a good suggestion.
Sa ngayon po, wala pong napag-uusapan sa ganyan. Pero since nadinig po sa inyo, maaari po siguro i-considera. Pero as of now, wala pa po napag-uusapan tungkol dyan. Maganda po suggestion yan. Opo.
Castro emphasized that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has already ordered all concerned agencies to coordinate in locating Ko overseas and ensuring his immediate return to the country.
Sa lahat po na ahensya na concern, since ang Pangulo po ay nag-utos na rin po na ihanapin at pauwiin dito si Zaldico, lahat po ng ahensya na concern dapat po na alamin ito at makatulong para mapabalik po agad si Zaldico sa Pilipinas.
Castro did not confirm reports that Ko is currently in Portugal, saying agencies are still verifying his actual location as part of their coordinated efforts. President Marcos earlier ordered the immediate apprehension of Ko following the issuance of a warrant of arrest against the fugitive lawmaker.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang called on the public to immediately report to authorities and information on the whereabouts of Cassandra Leong, who remains in the country as the government continues efforts to locate her. Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, has confirmed that based on their latest records, Ong is still in the Philippines and is currently considered a fugitive following the issuance of a warrant of arrest. Castro urged anyone who may have seen Ong to immediately coordinate with law enforcement agencies to help facilitate the enforcement of the warrant. When asked whether the palace would make the same appeal as the DILG to take photos of fugitives like Ong, Castro said all forms of assistance from the public would be helpful. The Department of Justice is offering a 1 million pesos reward for information on the whereabouts of Ong, one of the key figures in the pending human trafficking case involving Philippine offshore gaming operator Sir Pogos in Central Luzon.
Actually, humingi po tayo ng response mula sa DILG. At ang sabi po ay sa kasalukuyan, base sa kanilang records, nasa Pilipinas pa po si Miss Cassandra Ong. At patuloy pa rin po ang paghahanap sa kanya dahil nga siya po ay tinatawag na fugitive dahil may warrant of arrest na po. So, kung sino man din po sa mga kababayan natin ang makakakita kay Cassandra Ong, ipagbigay alam din po agad sa ating law enforcement agencies para po magampanan din po ang pagsiserve ng warrant of arrest sa kanya. Sa lahat ng mga pagkakataon, sa lahat ng maaaring gawing paraan, maliit malaki na tulong, makakatulong po yan sa gobyerno para po mahanap ang mga fugitives.
Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
The first family is open to undergoing a lifestyle check, Malacañang said Tuesday as it addressed questions raised in an investigative report about the distribution of allocable infrastructure funds that placed Ilocos Norte, the Marcos family's bailiwick, currently represented by presidential son Ferdinand Alexander, Sandro Marcos, in Congress among the top recipients. In a media briefing, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro confirmed that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has already read the Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism (PCIJ) report, which claimed that Sandro Marcos's district received around 15.8 billion pesos in Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH allocable funds from 2023 to 2025, the highest among 252 congressional districts. Castro said the president trusts that his son can explain the matter. She added the lawmaker has already volunteered to appear before the Independent Commission for Infrastructure or ICI, handling the inquiry on public infrastructure anomalies. The PCIJ report examined how nearly 1.2 trillion pesos in DPWH allocable funds were assigned using a budgeting mechanism, informally called the BBM parametric formula. The formula resulted in large variations among districts, with some high population areas receiving far less than smaller districts, and with several Duterte-aligned lawmakers reportedly receiving zero allocables in the 2025 budget. When asked if the palace would allow a lifestyle check on the presidential son or the first family, Castro said there is no objection from Malacañang.
Nabasa na po ng Pangulo ang nabanggit na report or pag-uulat ng PCIJ. But as of now, I cannot speak for in behalf of Congressman Sandro Marcos. At sabi naman po niya, siya po ang nagboluntaryo. Kung ano man po ang issue sa kanya, siya mismo ang pupunta sa ICI para maimbestigan po siya. Bigyan lamang po siya ng date para po magkaroon ng tamang schedule. Alam naman po ng Pangulo na alam ni Congressman Sandro Marcos ang kanyang ginagawa at alam niya po kung paano ito sasagutin. Nandiyan na po yan. Wala mong pinagbabawal sa lifestyle check. Kahit sino po. Open po, even before.
The PCIJ report also noted long-standing concerns about the alleged politicization of infrastructure funding, with both allocable and non-allocable DPWH projects historically prone to insertions, uneven distribution, and audit red flags. The report came as the administration tackled infrastructure spending anomalies, particularly in flood control projects, which were initially uncovered by the president in his last July State of the Nation address or SONA.
Dateline Malacañang.
On Tuesday, Malacañang said that the Commission on Audit or COA had identified 14 million pesos in foreign travel receivables under the Office of the President or OP due to unreimbursed expenses for multi-agency official travels. In a news briefing, Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace News Officer Claire Castro emphasized that the COA remark did not indicate any problems in the Marcos administration's trip expenses, but rather represents delayed payments that other agencies must clear. She explained that the OP covered some expenses to ensure the successful completion of foreign missions involving several agencies. Castro stressed the need of agency payments in maintaining OP operations. She noted that if receivables remain unpaid, the OP may be marked, resulting in the issue of demand letters. When asked why certain agencies were late in remitting money, Castro indicated internal procedures could have contributed to the delay.
Actually po, lumalabas po dito sa COA report or sa nabanggit na anunsyo or pag-flag ng COA. Ang COA, ang OFW ang may receivables. So, dapat ang OP ang babayaran ng ibang mga ahensya. Okay, ito po ang masasabi natin patungkol dyan, and I quote, "Collection letters were already issued in April and May 2025. Of the said amount, 7,887,555.64 or 55% were already collected to date. The OP consistently monitors the outstanding bills through monthly aging report and sending of collection demand letters." End of quote. Ganun po. Ganun po ang nangyayari.
So hindi pa po sila
Kasi
halos
kailangan pong bayaran kasi kung hindi mo nababayaran, hindi po aandar ang pagtatrabaho ng OP. Nagbibigay na po ng mga demands ang OP sa mga ahensya para po mabayaran pong muli. Or rather, mabayaran yung kanilang mga kakulangan at ito naman po ay dumadaan sa legal na proseso. Sa demand letter po nila, sa collection letter nila para po matugunan agad ng mga ahensya. At alam naman din po natin sa gobyerno, paminsan-minsan, may mga sinusunod na proseso. Hahanapin ko po muna yung demand letter para po mabigyan ko po kayo ng update patungkol po dyan. Sa ating pagkakaalam, may mga legal na proseso na dapat na sundin. At aalamin din po natin, kaya po sinabi nga po natin, collection letters pa lang ay meron na po as early as April and May 2025. So, hahanapin po natin at titignan po natin kung ano yung mga reasons kung bakit nag-delay ang kanilang pag-susumite ng mga payments para sa OP. Depende po sa sitwasyon. So, may mga pagkakataon po kasi na kailangan talaga muna na mag-audit, kailangan na mag-report. So, aalamin po natin sa mga ahensya kung bakit medyo natagalan ang kanilang pag-remit ng kanilang mga payments.
Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
We are temporarily interrupting our Dateline Malacañang news to give way to a live presidential broadcast coverage. Let us listen to Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s message in the 2025 Galing Pook Award ceremony, the 10 outstanding barangay initiatives.
Mula sa Presidential Communications Office at Radyo Pilipinas, ito ang Presidential Live Event. Presidential Live Event.
Foundation led by its chairperson, which we're very sad that you are leaving that position, but I'm sure you will not leave your advocacies in local government. The other officials from the Department of Interior and Local Governments and its affiliates, SM Prime Holdings Incorporated, represented here by Vice President Lisa Silverio, and company executives, the Land Bank President Lynette Ortiz, and other Land Bank officials, Galing Pook Foundation's partner institutions, and of course, yung pinakamahalaga na kasama natin ngayon dito, ang mga nanalo at saka mga finalists sa 2025 Galing Pook Award. Search for the top 10 outstanding barangay initiatives. Isang magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Nagtitipon tayo ngayon upang kilalanin ang 10 natatanging programa ng ating mga barangay. Mula sa 132 aplikasyon ng iba't ibang barangay, nang ibabaw ang mga programang pinaparangalan natin ngayon dito sa 2025 Galing Pook Awards Ceremony. Sa barangay nagsisimula ang serbisyong pinakamalapit sa tao. Ditong unang nararamdaman ng bawat mamamayan ang malasakit ng pamahalaan. Hindi madaling gumawa ng mga programa lalo na kung limitado ang pondo, kulang ang tauhan, at marami pang mga ibang pangangailangan ang komunidad. Ngunit, pinatunayan ninyo na posible naman ang mahusay na pamamahala kapag malinaw ang layunin ng proyekto at tapat ang proseso sa pagpapatupad nito. Katulad ng muling pagbuhay ng Macabalo River ng Barangay 57, Dap-Dap sa Legazpi City, hanggang sa Baskwela ng Barangay Balulang, Cagayan de Oro City, na nagbabalik sa pag-aaral sa mga bata, napakahalaga. Mula sa street camp ng Barangay Blue Ridge, Quezon City, na naghanda ng mga residente para sa lindol, hanggang sa solar-powered program ng Barangay General Malbar ng Santiago. Mayroon din tayo mga proyekto na urban gardens sa palit bote para sa tinapay sa Barangay Daang Bakal, Mandaluyong. Napakabago, nakakapag-isip kayo talaga ng mga panibagong paraan kung paano na makilahok ang ating mga kababayan, ang taong bayan. Hindi lamang sa pamalahan, ngunit kundi pati na sa ating mga tulong sa ating mga kababayan. Meron tayong Barangay Daang Bakal, Mandaluyong, clearance with a checklist sa Barangay Nagasikan, Santiago, upang pataasin ang partisipasyon ng komunidad sa pamamahala. At Community Justice Garden ng Barangay Pantal sa Dagupan City. Ang gaganda nitong proyekto ninyo. Masasabi ko talaga, ang naisip ninyo mga bagong project, hindi namin naisip sa national government ito. Sa barangay lang talaga manggagaling ito. Mula sa Kariton na tumutulong sa conflict resolution sa Barangay Poblasyon, South Cot, hanggang sa muling pagsilang ng Tripa de Gallina ng pangunguna ng Barangay San Isidro sa Makati. Sa Sign Language Training, Barangay Tagas, Tabaco City. Iba-iba man ang programa, iisa ang hatid na mensahe. Kapag tinutugunan natin ang pangangailangan ng tao, nagdudulot ito ng magandang pagbabago. Ipinakita rin ng ganitong parangal na ang tapat at maayos na pamamahala ay hindi lang nasa kamay ng national government. Nagsisimula ito sa pangunahing unit ng pamahalaan, ang barangay. Dahil kapag malinaw ang proseso ng pamahalaan, lumalakas ang tiwala ng ating mga kababayan. Kung may pananagutan, tumataas ang respeto ng mamamayan. At tuwing inuuna natin ang kapakanan ng taong bayan, sumusunod ang pag-unlad ng ating inang bayan. Ito ang kulturang nais nating ipalaganap sa pamahalaan. Ganito ang serbisyo publika na dapat ramdam ng pamayanan, tapat, bukas, at may direksyon. Let us strive to continue to replicate the success of these barangay initiatives on a national scale, learning what works and strengthening the systems that uphold efficiency, participation, and transparency in government. Pinapasalamatan natin ang Galing Pook Foundation sa higit sa 3 dekada ninyong pagtataguyod ng mahusay at tapat na pamamahala. Para naman sa ating mga awardees at saka finalists, congratulations sa inyong lahat. Sana ipagpatuloy ninyo ang pagbibigay ng serbisyong may malasakit sa ating komunidad. Huwag niyo pong kakalimutan na dapat malaking pasasalamat natin sa pagpapaalala na ang pagbabago at pag-unlad ay nagsisimula sa pinakamaliit na hakbang at lumalakas kapag tayo ay sama-samang kumikilos. Mabuhay ang mga barangay, mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, Mr. President. And now,
Mula sa Presidential Communications Office at Radyo Pilipinas, ito ang Presidential Live Event. Presidential Live Event.
You just listened to Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s message at the 2025 Galing Pook Award Ceremony, the 10 Outstanding Barangay Initiatives. Moving on with our Dateline Malacañang news, Malacañang emphasized Tuesday that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. had no input or influence in the House of Representatives' decision to suspend Cavite Representative Kiko Barzaga. The subject is exclusively within the lower chamber's competence. Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro pointed out that the President fully respects the House's power to impose disciplinary sanctions on its members. Barzaga previously suggested that his suspension was politically motivated or related to his criticisms of the administration. Castro denied the assertion and explained that the allegations leveled against him, such as the alleged publishing of sexual images and arguments over alleged disinformation regarding the Philippine Armed Forces, had nothing to do with the president.
Desisyon po yan ng House of Representatives. So, yan po ay nalaman na po kung ano po naging desisyon. So, ginagalang po ng Pangulo kung ano man ang desisyon ng House of Representatives. So, in other words, sinasabit niya ang pangalan po ni Pangulo dahil sa kanyang pagkakasuspindi. Yes po. Unang-una po yung mga lewd photos na kanyang pinost. Hindi naman po kasama ang Pangulo nung ito ay kanyang ginawa. Hindi naman kasama ang Pangulo nung ito'y pinost. At yung mga sinasabi niya mga umanong disinformation laban sa AFP, hindi rin po yata kasama ang Pangulo sa kanyang mga umanong disinformation. So sa ating nakikita rito, ginagamit lamang ang pangalan ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. para ma-justify ang kanyang mga ginagawang disinformation.
Presidential Communications Office, PCO, Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang expressed optimism that the government can still meet its economic growth target for the year. Presidential Communications Office PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. continues to push his economic team to pursue measures that will help propel the country's growth trajectory. Castro issued a statement addressing concerns that the Philippines may miss its gross domestic product or GDP target for the third consecutive year. Despite the challenges, Castro said the administration is determined to meet its target.
Muli, sinisikap ng palasyo, sinisikap ng Pangulo na maabot natin kung ano yung target po natin. So pagsisikapan pa rin po. Especially with this kind of rallies na nangyari po, medyo maingay po, talagang po nakaka-apekto to sa ekonomiya. So, pagtutulong-tulungan po ng economic team ng Pangulo at also with the help of the people na sana maabot natin ang target.
Media briefing, Department of Economy, Planning and Development or DepDev Secretary Arsenio Balisacan said a 7% growth is needed for the economy to achieve the 5.5% to 6.5% full-year growth target. Balisacan, however, admitted that this is a challenge considering the impact of pressing issues, including natural disasters and the investigation into the anomalous flood control projects. He said the Interagency Development Budget Coordination Committee or DBCC will meet on December 9 to review the latest developments and their impact on the government's economic targets. Castro, meanwhile, urged Congress to accelerate deliberations on the proposed 2026 national budget to avoid a reenacted spending program. She said the administration does not want a most anomalous 2025 reenacted budget scenario should lawmakers fail to pass the 2026 General Appropriations Act on time. She acknowledged that time is running short, but remained hopeful Congress could still expedite the process.
Bilisan ang trabaho. Dapat bilisan ang pag-aaral. Ayaw po ng Pangulo ng reenacted budget. Alam po natin yan. So hanggat maaari, bilis-bilisan natin, although kahit tapos na yung kapos ang panahon, sana po mas mapabilis natin.
Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Consulate General in Hong Kong said all Filipinos who likely work at the high-rise apartment complex hit by a deadly fire in Tai Po, Hong Kong are all safe and accounted for. The last two overseas Filipino workers listed for verification were found to be already in the Philippines when the fire broke out. Earlier, the consulate confirmed that one Filipino domestic worker identified as Marian Pascual Esteban perished from the inferno. Esteban, who leaves behind a 10-year-old son in Cainta, Rizal, was reportedly scheduled to return to the Philippines for Christmas when the fire broke out. The blaze, the deadliest in Hong Kong in decades, resulted in 146 dead and dozens still missing.
Time to celebrate culture.
Dateline Malacañang.
Finally, for Dateline Malacañang, Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak and Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA Chief Patricia Yvonne P.Y. Kaunan flew to Hong Kong Tuesday morning to personally check on overseas Filipino workers or OFWs affected by the deadly blaze at the Wang Fuk Court apartment complex in Tai Po. In an interview with Undersecretary Dominic Rubia Tutay during the kickoff of Philippines-Finland Friendship Day in Mandaluyong City, she said Kakdak will personally check on OFW Rodora Alcaraz, who is undergoing treatment at a hospital for her injuries. Tutay meanwhile expressed sadness for the passing of another OFW, Marian Pascual Esteban, who perished in the deadly residential building fire. She also confirmed that all the rest of the Filipino workers are now accounted for. Tutay assured that the Department of Migrant Workers is assisting all affected OFWs, especially Alcaraz, including the family of Esteban. On Sunday, Secretary Kakdak and Administrator Kaunan visited the family of Alcaraz in Cainta, Rizal to personally convey their sympathies and assure full government assistance.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.